Ladies and gentlemen, the Champions League is finally back. And as a Barcelona fan, you know what that means. It means another year heartbreak. Can't lie. I've been waiting for this for 10 years now, bro. But it also means that the pinnacle of club football is back. This is exactly what we need after a boring, despicable international break. That being said, this is going to be the second year that the UCL is going to be doing a league format. So as you guys are aware, there are a total of 36 clubs in the league format. Before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. But without further ado, here we go, okay? So we're going to start out with a powerhouse of the UCL, actually, but it is a fallen giant as of right now, okay? Ajax, they have won the UCL 4 times, I believe, you know? Famous for their time during Cruyff. Nowadays, those brothers are a little bit ass, I can't lie. They haven't won the league, I believe, and they got rid of their previous coach, Farioli, the Italian. I really liked him, you know? Like, I thought he was doing a decent thing with what I was seeing from the European lad, you know? May come back. That being said, where do I have them? Listen, surprisingly, I have them in eliminated. Okay? To be precise, I had them in 31st. No sugarcoating it. I just don't think they're it anymore. I think they are not going to be able to make it between 1 to 24. We are going to continue to a team that has made a big transition since last year. Okay? So they lost their top goal scorer and they lost their coach. That is none other than Atalanta. They were able to beat Leverkusen a couple of seasons ago in the Europa League final, right? When they were doing a mad take, that unbeaten streak, invincibles that Leverkusen had at the time. But they've lost their top goal scorer and they've lost Gasperini as well. I'm not a fan of this season. I think they're going to underperform. They could risk even not making it eliminated, like even not making it into the playoffs. But that being said, I had them in 24th, I believe. So literally last spot. Literally just making it. They do not convince me at all this season. Okay, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they do. If I do a Serie A predictions as well, I believe I would have placed them relatively low compared to the previous seasons. But that being said, we are going to continue to a team that is in transition right now, and that is none other than Manchester City. You know, long are the days where we went into the UCL and Manchester City was considered one of like a clear favorites, right? There was a period of time, like a 5-season period of time where they just entered the UCL as like main candidates to win it. That's not the case anymore, okay? So they brought in new signings, which I like. I do think that they need to address some issues that they still have. That being said, they just slapped up United 3-0 at the derby. But, you know, United, that's not a difficult task nowadays. Now, regarding the UCL, they do have some decent fixtures, okay? So we're obviously getting the almost yearly, Manchester City against Real Madrid. You know, that can go either way. That's a toss of a coin between the two. They're also facing Dortmund at home. I think they get a dub in there. Napoli as well is an interesting one, but we'll talk about Napoli a little bit later. That being said, I have faith in them. For some reason, I'm not too sure I have faith in Manchester City. I had them qualifying straight in. I had them in 7th, I believe. Last season as well, I thought they were going to do relatively good, and they barely made it into the playoffs, right? So going to be an interesting one, but that's where I predict them as of right now. We're going to continue to Slavia Praga, okay? That's just not even like getting eliminated. I had them in at 28, so above Ajax. Surprisingly, the reason that I say that is because I think they might get a few points at home. No way, they make it just simple. We are going to continue to Athletic Bilbao, okay? Very interesting one. Last season, they had a good season. They finished 4th in La Liga. That being said, they were able to hold on to Nico Williams. But, you know, he's injured. But I'm not happy about that. We should never be happy about an injury. In terms of the UCL, what do I think they're going to do? I'm not really convinced by them this season. I think it might be a little bit of too much of a step for them. They were able to bring in Laporte because of the whole FIFA issue or whatever, but he's not registered. I don't know if they're going to register him for the UCL, or they probably have to do something around that because of the paperworks that were delayed or whatever. I have him eliminated, okay? The thing is, I have him in at 25th, okay? So, I have him in at 25th, so just barely. Bilbao and Atalanta, they're the same points. So it's based off of goal difference. The way that I did it is there is a website where you go in there and you enter all the results for every single game. At the very end, it calculates what the league table will be based off of those results. Who would go through, who would go to playoffs, and who would get eliminated basically at the end of the day. 24 and 25, Bilbao and a couple of other teams, they were all on 7 points. So it was a goal difference. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bilbao goes up, Atalanta goes down, or anything like that, right? Like, you're going to have a few teams that the difference between them is maybe like a point, sometimes even goal difference, right? If I was that accurate right now, I would be a betting man, but I am not. Yeah, so I have them in at 25th. We are going to continue to Arsenal, the Gunners, the team that has won 0, nada, nilch, nothing UCLs. As of right now, as of the time of recording, they could do it. Could this be the year that they finally do it? You tell me. Last year they did well in the league phase. I believe they ended up 3rd, right below Barcelona, with what I remember. That being said, this season, well, we are going to be watching some haram ball of the highest order, because we have Arsenal that are going to be facing Inter and Atletico Madrid. Those are going to be horrendous games to watch. But I like Arsenal. They did a ton of business in the transfer market, and I think they have a very, very solid depth. Arguably the best depth in the Premier League as of right now. Very, very difficult to basically break their defense. Attacking wise, not the best. They don't convince me that much. But that being said, I have them qualified straight away 4th. One of the favorites, in my opinion, like top 4, top 5 favorites to win the whole UCL. We are going to continue to a team that won the UCL the year that I was born, actually, in 97. And that is none other than the Yellow Wall, Borussia Dortmund. Okay, so Borussia Dortmund is an interesting one. In the UCL, they fairly do well, usually, okay? They have this record in the UCL where they do a thing, even though they're horrible in the league. They have the top goal scorer, joint top goal scorer of last season, Guirassy, in there. And they have some nice components, overall in the midfield, in the attack, in the defense as well. Kobel, Schlotterberg. You had Joe Bellingham that just came in as well. Adeyemi. And so they have some interesting pieces there, okay? They lost Gittins, though. So they have Manchester City, they have Spurs, Juventus, Inter, Villarreal, and Athletic Bilbao. So some tough games, honestly. I had them in at 12th. Relatively good for them. 3 losses is what I had for them, but somehow they were able to squeeze in at number 12. We are going to continue to a team that has been horrendous. And the only reason that they were horrendous could be potentially because Ten Hag was there. He is no longer there. That team is none other than not Manchester United, Bayer Leverkusen. Now, Bayer Leverkusen is an interesting one because they sold so many people, but they also brought in some people. The only player that was integral for them during the Invincibles that's still there is probably Grimaldo at this point, bro. Everyone else dipped. Leverkusen have PSG, Manchester City, Newcastle, Villarreal, Benfica, to name a few. Decent games in there. I had them in 22, so just above Atalanta. We'll see how it goes. The next team that we are going to continue to is a team that ended up 17th, I believe, in the league, but somehow they made it. Somehow those brothers are in the UCL. Well, somehow is, Ange, that cold quote, second year, they were able to get the Europa League against none other than Manchester United. Now, that being said, they have brought in a couple of different players that I really like. Kudus, Xavi Simons. Those are players that I rate very, very highly. But the main thing for them is they brought in Thomas Frank, who I absolutely love. You can already tell the difference that he's made just within the first month or so of him being the gaffer at Spurs. Probably one of the easiest fixtures in terms of the big teams, I would say, if not the easiest one. So this might come as a surprise to you guys, but I have Spurs qualifying automatically, and I actually have them in at number 3. I have them in at 3rd. If you take a look at who they have, man, Dortmund at home, PSG away, which most likely they will lose, but even in the Super Cup, they were able to keep PSG at bay for a good chunk of the time. If they had a little bit more depth, they would probably be able to actually squeeze the dub against PSG. They have Villarreal, they have Frankfurt, Slavia Prague, Bodo Glimt, Copenhagen, and Monaco. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Thomas Frank, and I think he can do a job with them at the end of the day. UCL giant, Bayern Munich. Okay, the German Giants that have won the UCL 6 times, I believe. Interesting one with them. You have people that don't necessarily rate them. You have people that rate them. I'm on the rating them side of things. I think they have a very good team. Overall, I like what company's doing with them as well. They brought in a couple of decent signings as well. The only thing is Musiala is a big miss for them, unfortunately. I think he's coming back in December with what I remember, something a lot along those lines. So, where do I have them? I have Bayern in at number 5. So just below Arsenal. We're going to continue to a team that brought us arguably the best game of last year's UCLs against Barcelona, which was Benfica. They lost Di Maria, which is a big L in my opinion, because Di Maria came in clutch in certain moments. They have a tough group of fixtures as well. So they have Madrid, Chelsea, Leverkusen, Juventus, Napoli, Ajax, Newcastle, and Karabakh. Those are very, very, very difficult fixtures in my opinion for Benfica. I think they could get 3 dubs out of that group, maybe a draw or something like that as well. So I had them finishing in the bottom half of playoffs. I had them finishing in at 20th. So above Leverkusen and Atalanta. We're going to continue to Bodo Glimt, okay? An interesting team. A team that is able to surprise mid-teams. I wouldn't say giants or anything like that, but I think they can do a little ting against some mid-teams. However, those brothers have some very difficult fixtures. The only one that they maybe can win is against Slavia Prague, and I don't even know if they will that. So eliminated. Let's just get straight to it. 32nd. Below Ajax. Now, it is none other than the team that actually finished first last year in the league phase. Despite finishing first last year, they went on to face PSG, who eventually knocked them out and then won the whole thing. And that is none other than Liverpool. They arguably have had the best summer transfer window of all teams possible. They've started off not ideally in terms of performance, but they've managed to get 4 dubs out of 4 games possible right now, So, and I think they can only get better. And for Liverpool, it's an interesting one because I do have the feeling that I think they might prioritize a little bit more the UCL just because they already got the Premier League recently. I'm not saying that they're not going to try and win everything that they can, but I'm saying for some reason, because of what happened last season, because of that bittersweet exit, I do think that they might prioritize that a little bit more. They have Madrid at home. I think they win that. They have Inter. They have Atletico as well. And then some other teams, PSV, Marseille, I think they should get the job done. Without further ado, they are actually number 1 for me. I think that they will retain their first spot, same as last year. And it doesn't really surprise me. They're probably one of the best teams in the world on paper. They did it last year. Let's see if they can do it this year as well in the UCL. We're going to continue to a team that has an interesting dynamic, to say the least. Marseille, a huge club in France, a club that has actually won the UCL as well. I think they get a decent amount of points. I have them in the bottom half of playoffs, just above Benfica at number 19. We're going to continue to the champions of Italy, Napoli. They brought in experience with the signing of Kevin De Bruyne, which is going to be a very, very interesting one. He can boost that attack a lot. And we've already seen that with what he's doing in the Serie A, the way that they started. Antonio Conte, though, is not the man with a very good UCL record. He's more of a, surprisingly, I was going to say he's more of like a league man. But the UCL has changed into the league format as of right now. It's no longer the groups. So maybe he does a thing, maybe like this, they merged it this way for him to succeed. Chelsea and Manchester City are the big ones that they face. And then they have some other teams that I think are within their level, if not lower than them. So I actually predict Napoli to go ahead in the playoffs, obviously. And I think within a decent position as well. So I have them finishing in 13th. Which is just below Borussia Dortmund. Decent. Not bad for them, I would say. We are going to continue to Club Brugge. This is an interesting team because it's a team that's able to actually provide some solid footy, I would say, especially at home. However, they have a difficult fixture list. And because of that reason, I have them eliminated at 26th, unfortunately. Drawed on points with Bilbao and Atalanta. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's based off of goal difference, so they could very well go up. Moving on from one team that plays good at home to another one, Copenhagen is the next one that we're going to be discussing. That being said, they have a very difficult fixture list as well. I unfortunately have them 30th, eliminated just above Ajax. Now the moment that we've all been waiting for, Blaugrana Nation, Couleurs, rise up, stand up. This is the year. Number 6 is coming home, baby. Where are we going to finish in terms of the league phase? I'm not gonna lie, Barcelona had a very good draw on paper, right? You never know at the end of the day. Don't want to jinx those mans as well, but on paper we have maybe one of the easiest draws. I'm gonna put them obviously qualified right ahead. They slot in at number 2 for me. 1 and 2 actually finished the same. Last year, the biggest loss that they've had is Inigo Martinez leaving, which is going to be very interesting, obviously, to see how Flick reorganizes the defense. It's going to have to be a very, very big season for Araujo as well. They brought in Rashford on loan, who I think personally is going to have a very good season. Rooney as well for some depth there. And then Joan Garcia, who has been a revelation, a godsend. No more watching. Well, we didn't see Ter Stegen last season either, but like even Szczesny, bro, that brother can go back to smoking a pack every day, you know? And Joan Garcia is here, so complete as a goalie. So I felt safe with him, and I always do, you know? He can protect me against anything. Alrighty, next one is Union. All right, no sugarcoating it. Eliminated. Number 33. I don't think they have enough. It's an interesting team, but they have Inter, Bayern, Newcastle, Atleti, Atalanta. I can go on and on. Very difficult fixture for them. So I have them getting eliminated. Moving on to a team that probably has one of the best fan bases, one of the most passionate fan bases out of all the teams in the UCL, and that is none other than Galatasaray. They were able to keep Osimhen, which is a massive one for them, and they have a little interesting team going on there. I can't lie, you know, they're doing a thing over there. I think they're capable of maybe winning like 3 games or something like that, and then getting a couple of draws as well. So I actually have them finishing in top half of playoffs, right at number 16 is where I have Galatasaray. My Turkish brothers, let me know. I'm trying to keep it good with you guys. If I ever need a donor, if I ever need like a hair transplant or anything like that, you know, bless me, my brothers, my Abi. Teşekkürler. But we are going to continue. All right. We are going to continue to a team that ended up going to the final, unfortunately, because they were able to beat Barcelona in extra time. But then they got slapped at PSG. So it was a waste of a final. It is none other than Inter Milan. Okay, they lost Simone Inzaghi, which is a big, massive loss for them. I think he's probably one of the best coaches in the world. So they brought in Kivu. I'm not familiar with that brother, but with what I've seen as of right now, they're not the same. They got in a couple of decent signings as well, but the midfield they're like, those brothers are still getting old, you know? They might inject them with some performance enhancement like they did to recover against Barca last season, but you know, you can only do that for so long, I feel like, you know? Decent games, like hard games, I can't lie for Inter. So I have them in 15th though. I do think they still make it, so just above Galatasaray. But I don't think last year they were in the top 8 with what I remember, right? I don't think they're going to be there this season. Could be wrong, but you never know. From one Italian team, we're going to continue to another Italian team. This is the mafia of the Italian team, the team that everyone detests. And that is none other than Juventus, okay? They have one of my favorite players, which is Kenan Yildiz. I invested stocks early in that, brother. And so far, they've gone platinum. They also brought in Zhegrova, who I really, really like. So Yildiz and Zhegrova, I hope they start. That's going to be an insane duo to watch, in my opinion. The most difficult games that they have, honestly, is probably Real Madrid and then Dortmund. And then they have Monaco, Villarreal, who are going to be interesting challenges for them. But regardless, I have them in the top half, just above Inter. I have them in at 15. That's where I have them. I think that's going to be a decent one for them. We are going to continue to a team that, I'll be honest with you, bro, I'm not familiar. But the happy thing about them is Madrid is going to have to travel for like over 9 hours or something like that to get to those brothers. But it is none other than Kairat. Cinderella story, just getting here. It ends now. Ain't nobody finding your slipper or anything like that. You guys are getting eliminated. I had them dead last, honestly, 36. You know, apologies. Could be my misinformation, my uneducation. Is that a word? I don't even know. But I have them finishing last. Nothing more to be said about them. Hopefully I'm wrong. You know, get a dub against Madrid and all is forgiven. That being said, we're going to continue to my arch enemies. And that is none other than Real Madrid. Real Madrid. They have a decent fixture list. They have Liverpool, which is going to be difficult for them. Manchester City, which is a 50-50 between both of them always. And Juventus, maybe Juve can do a thing against them. But that being said, I do think that they obviously make playoffs. They're going to be a better form than they were last season, in my opinion. Brought in some decent signings. Carreras, Hausen, really like them. And then Xabi Alonso as well, which is an upgrade, in my opinion, to Ancelotti. But, however, I do think that they just miss out in the top 8. I have them finishing in at 10. So, can I, all right, I'm just going to do this. Yeah. So I have them finishing in at 10. Continuing to none other than a team that I have embarrassing memories of when we were in the Europa League. Don't want to even think about that time. But we know what happened. They just filled up the Camp Nou, unfortunately. Frankfurt, where do I have them this season in the UCL? They got tough fixtures. We're facing them again. Liverpool, Atalanta, Atletico Madrid, Spurs, Napoli, Galatasaray, Karabag. Very difficult fixtures for them. I have them eliminated, unfortunately, in at 27. So just below Club Brugge. Moving on to a team that I'm going to be following closely this season. And honestly, some people might as well, because it is none other than Monaco. I like them as a team. I liked them last season as well. They faced us, and I like the way that they play. I like their coach. They have some young talents as well. They brought in Ansu Fati, who, if you guys don't know, before Lamine Yamal, Ansu Fati was the man. Not to his extent, obviously, but he was one of our wonder kids, and I have a very soft spot for him. So hopefully he has a redemption arc. And then we have none other than Paul Pogba, who's coming back to the mix after his suspension or ban due to drug use. I believe it was some type of steroid or something like that. So it's going to be very interesting to follow them, and I am going to follow them just because of those two players specifically. That being said, in terms of the UCL, not the easiest fixture, but I do think that they get like free dubs against Bodo Glimt and another team that we're going to talk about as well. So I have them finishing in the playoffs in 18th. So just above Marseille. Continuing to none other than Newcastle. They are back in the UCL. The last time that they were in the UCL, it did not end well for them. They were in the group of death, I believe, and they finished dead last with what I remember as well. But they had decent games. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they manage the EPL and the UCL as well this season. They lost Alexander Isak. We know how that whole drama saga went about, and then they brought in some players as well, Elanga, Vissa, Voltemade, etc., etc. I think that they have a decent fixture. They have us. Obviously, we're playing them first game on Thursday. PSG, Leverkusen, PSV, Marseille, Bilbao, those types of teams where I think that they can get good results against. So for that reason, I have them relatively high. I have them the highest from the top half playoffs. So they just miss out. They just miss out on qualified top 8. I have them in at number 9, basically. Moving on to a team from Greece, we have none other than Olympiacos. Now, I don't know why I had them in this position, but I had them in actually making bottom half of playoff in at 21, so just above Leverkusen. That could be a little bit high now that I'm looking at their list of fixtures again. Madrid, Barca, Leverkusen, Arsenal, PSV, Ajax, Pafos, and Kairat. I don't know why I had them up there, but I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to keep them there, okay? Now we're going to continue to a club that I do not like at all. However, they have a group of youngsters who could be surprising, and that is none other than Chelsea. They won the Conference League last year, had a good season in the EPL as well, and they find them in the UCL again, where honestly, this is where Chelsea belongs. Let's keep it a buck. They've won the UCL as well 2 times, I believe. Last time it was in 2021 against Manchester City. So it's good to have them back. Now, in terms of where do I have them for this UCL, let's take a look at who they're facing. So they're facing us at Stamford Bridge. They got Bayern, Benfica, Atalanta, Ajax, Napoli, Karabag, and Pafos. From that, I think they get, honestly, probably maybe like 4 or 5 dubs, in my opinion. So for that reason, I have them in at 8th, qualified directly. I'm taking a look at it, and Chelsea and Newcastle, they're on the same amount of points with what I had, but goal difference again. So maybe Chelsea could be here, Newcastle could be there. You never know. But as of right now, based off of my predictions, I have Chelsea as the last team that qualifies straight into it in at number 8. We still have one more, right? 1 and 7. Yep. Got one more that's going to be in here. Who's going to be? I don't know. We'll see. Going to continue to a team that I was not familiar with. This guy looks like Cristiano Ronaldo on them. I have no idea who that is. Excuse my ignorance. Paphos, Cyprus team, I believe, with what I remember. Let's keep it short and simple. Eliminated. I had them in at 34. Yeah. So, but hey, listen. I had them getting like 4 points. I didn't offend them or anything. I hope I didn't, but it is what it is. I don't think you have the juice. Moving on to the current Champions League winners, and that is none other than Paris Saint-Germain. Last season, they barely made it to the playoffs. They started abysmal, and so did Ousmane Dembele, lest we forget. But That being said, what do I think they're going to do this season in the league phase? Without a doubt, they have the hardest list of fixtures. I will let you know who they have just to refresh your memory in case you forget. Bayern, Barcelona, Atalanta, Leverkusen, Spurs, Sporting, Newcastle, and Athletic Bilbao. There are no easy games in there. Obviously, they're better than some teams in there, but there's no like mediocre teams or like trash teams in there, with all due respect. However, what do I think they're going to do? I think that they will get good results. I don't think it'll be like last season at all, where they barely make it to the playoffs. And PSG are actually the team that I have to close off the qualified, and I have them in at number 6, so just below Bayern. Considering the fixtures that they have, I think that's a very, very good achievement for them, in my personal opinion. And yeah, one of the favorites to win the UCL as well. Moving on to PSV, a Dutch team who surprisingly last season they eliminated one of the either Juve or Milan. I forget which one it was. I think it was Juve, because Milan was Feyenoord, because Milan had just Milan had just got Jimenez from Feyenoord, I guess. I'm pretty sure. And then Feyenoord eliminated Milan, with what I remember. Yeah. So anyways, PSV, an interesting team, an entertaining team, Dutch champions, but they have a tough fixture list. Bayern, Liverpool, Atletico, Napoli, Leverkusen, Newcastle, just to name a few, all big teams. Because of that, I have them fairly low. However, I do have them going through, and I have them in at number 23. So just above Atalanta. Let's continue. Karabag is the next team. I remember we had an Albanian Don that played for them. Ansi Agoli. He played for Karabag. So I have a little bit of respect for them due to that. Not enough respect where I think that they go through. I have them in at eliminated, unfortunately. And I have them in at 35th. Right here. They have a tough group as well. If you look at it. Not group, sorry. League fixture. So yeah, I don't think they make it, unfortunately. Moving on to Atletico Madrid. Let's say it how it is. Start of the season, they've been trash. Utter trash. And they spent over 200 million, which is insane. It could be the time for them to move on from Diego Simeone, honestly. And he's the highest paid manager in the world, with what I remember as well. The fixtures that they have are relatively okay. Arsenal, Inter, Liverpool, those are the big ones. Then you have like teams like Frankfurt, PSV, Galatasaray, where they should be getting results. However, I do have them losing quite a few games, like 3 or 4 games. And for that reason, I have them in the bottom half at 17. So just above Monaco. That's where I have Atletico Madrid. Time will tell. Sporting Lisbon. Since Amorim left, they have regressed. That being said, he's regressed as well. He might get sacked by Christmas, bro. So he probably wants to go back at this point. They lost Gyökeres as well, who scored like 60 goals for them and whatnot, even though it is the Portuguese league, with all due respect. Not easy games, and I don't like what I'm seeing for them, even though they have some quality players in there. But for that reason, I unfortunately have Sporting to get eliminated. I have them in at 29. Below Slavia Prague. And the last team that I have is a team that I think might surprise some people this season. Not only in La Liga, if I do a prediction for La Liga, but in the UCL as well. And that is none other than Villarreal. Villarreal, I like their manager. I like their players. I like the way that they play as well. The Yellow Submarine is looking good. So it's not the easiest group. That being said, they should win against Pafos. They should win against Copenhagen. I think they win against Ajax as well. For that reason, to finish off the league phase, I have Villarreal finishing in 11th. Which is relatively high, I would say, for Villarreal. But like I said, I'm a fan of them. I hope they have a good season overall. I'm going to stick with it. I'm a fan of what I see from them. As you guys can see, Liverpool in at number 1, same as last season. Barcelona, Spurs, Arsenal, Bayern, PSG, Manchester City, and Chelsea. These are all in order. There's going to be some howlers here. I know, because they can't all be hits. You know what I mean? You got to have some trash tracks in there, We're going to go to some awards now, okay? For the league phase. This is for the league phase. So top goal scorer, Mr. Harry Kane is the one that I have. It was between him and Mbappe for me, but I just opted for Harry Kane, in my opinion. It is what it is. Top assister, I am going to go with none other than the best player in the world, Lamine Yamal, is going to be the top assister in my opinion. It just comes so naturally to him. You know, he has some insane numbers as well in terms of assists, and I think he's going to keep it up this season as well. Overachievers, I would give it to two teams. So I think it's between Spurs and Villarreal, but probably Spurs, bro. I don't think anyone besides me, I guess, predicts that Spurs would be like in the top 3 of the UCL. Maybe some people will have them here in the bottom of qualified, but I don't think within the top 3. So overachievers, I would say Spurs, and then underachievers. Is there a category here for Manchester United? There ain't. So underachievers. Let me take a look what I have here. Sporting, maybe, but not really underachievers. Bilbao, maybe Atletico Madrid, I guess, just because they're like in the bottom half. Arguably, they have the potential to be within the top half, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 9 within 13, I think that's where they belong on paper. But I think they're going to be below, so I would have them as the underachievers. But there you guys have it. That is my prediction for the league phase of the UCL this season. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any team that's too high up or too low as well, let me know who you guys think is going to be the top goal scorer, top assister, underachieving, overachieving teams as well. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to hit a like and subscribe to the channel as well. Appreciate the support. That being said, I will see you guys on the next episode. Take it easy. Peace.